Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. I hope you're doing well out there. Happy 4th to everybody, and appreciate you stopping by the channel. As the Miami Heat, if you're looking for fireworks this offseason, it feels like they've lit the fuse, and it's been a lot of duds so far. But there was a little bit of smoke that was interesting today that surrounded the team, and that was in regard to Andrew Wiggins. There's a lot of reports out of L.A. that the Lakers are interested in trading for Andrew Wiggins. This smoke was a little bit pluming last week, and that there was talk that the Heat were they were trying to get a lot for Andrew Wiggins. That they were trying to get Dalton Connect, possibly a first-round pick, and then some expiring contracts to get off of Wiggins, who has some multiple years at 28 and 30, I think, as his remaining years. And this is coming off of an interesting report from Barry Jackson, who did a lot of great digging around the Miami Heat. And there was a particular view on Wiggins. The first thing that he pointed out was Terry Rozier. The Heat's not looking to waive and stretch Terry Rozier. But they'd like to find they will either find a trade or keep him until next season when his deal expires. I don't see the purpose in stretching Terry Rozier even for a roster spot. I think the damage is done there. I think they all know that they blew that deal. We'll go down probably as one of the worst trades in team history. But you've already been through the hard part of. He basically had the year from hell last year with coming off the injury, the FBI investigation, and then just generally stinking up the joint. Your only hope is that if he's going to be on the roster, hey, maybe on a night Tyler doesn't have it or is injured or something, that he can come in there and light it up a little bit. But the Heat's already been through the hard part with Terry Rozier. And I will say, Terry upheld himself as an excellent teammate last year. It's not like a guy who made a stink at all. And so I don't see Terry Rozier as a malcontent. I don't see the purpose in waiving and stretching. Just live it up for this year. See what you can get, and maybe somebody at the break, comes along and matches the salary, and just wants to clear their books. Maybe that's something that they can look into, and maybe it'll happen before the season. They also talked about Andrew Wiggins. Barry said that while the Heat would listen to proposals involving Andrew Wiggins, Miami is not determined to trade him. As one source said, the Heat obtained Wiggins because the organization liked his game, views him as a compliment to Adebayo and Hero, not with the intent to use his contract to facilitate a trade. They view him as a good player that does not want to simply trade him for pieces, but it will listen to offers as presented. So there is a report that the Miami Heat, let me see the name on this fella. He's a podcaster. It is from Jovan Buha. I think that's how you say it. He said that the Heat reportedly want Rui Hachimura, Dalton Connect, and a first-round pick for Andrew Wiggins. And that I guess the offer was more around Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, Shake Milton in a first, or he was being asked about that. And he had said that the Heat were looking for Rui, Dalton Connect, and a first-round pick. If the Miami Heat can get a first-round pick for Andrew Wiggins and essentially turning the Jimmy Butler trade into getting 2 first-round picks, to me that would be a slam dunk. There are other reports from LA that say that they won't do it for a first-round pick. They won't give up. But the Lakers are in an interesting spot right now because they brought in Luka Doncic. They were given a godsend by totally legit basketball minds that they got Luka Doncic for an all-star 6 years older than him and a first-round pick and stuff. So somehow they even still have stuff to trade. But they have all this drama surrounding them with LeBron James, and I don't know how that's going to end because there's, do I think that's going to end in a Miami Heat reunion for Andrew Wiggins and Terry Rozier? Probably not. I think LeBron's probably just going to end up sticking it out this year. LeBron just likes to make a stink and make things about, just have it known that he can flex it a little bit. I don't think this ends up with him going back to Cleveland. The Mavericks, apparently, there was David McMenamin saying today that he would only go there on a buyout. And I think it's been a little wishy-washy on the Knicks stuff. I think they wouldn't trade. There's certain guys that they wouldn't trade for him. But the point is, when you have LeBron James, though, you do kind of got to go for it. And he did opt into a $52 million contract. So it's not like there's a lot of options to trade him anyway. And while this seemed like the Lakers are going to probably hold on to that for a big, well, now they got DeAndre Ayton, and now they need a wing because they don't have Dorian Finney-Smith anymore. So you bring in Andrew Wiggins, a guy, we all know what his talents are. And so can the Miami Heat get him for a first-round pick for a team that really does need him in a very competitive East that has Luka Doncic, who they don't know if he's going to sign the extension yet. And then LeBron maybe making a stink. So I am curious. It does feel like the Heat are asking for a good amount. Because you're basically asking for their first round pick last year in Dalton Connect, who they were going to flip for Mark Williams. And then that trade got nullified. So that was a little bit strange. And then a pick on top of it. And, you never know with these Lakers, like it could end up being a good pick. But even just the Heat adding to some adding more assets to it. I mean, it would be great for the Heat if they can somehow pull that off. I've seen other reports that say the Lakers won't give up a first round pick for Andrew Wiggins. And it does feel like he's he's such an interesting player because it's like, I think he's a good player. Would I be happy if the Heat gave up a first round pick for Andrew Wiggins? Even if it was the final piece. The other thing is there's not a lot of options out there, right? Like, who are the other guys that can be a two-way wing that doesn't need the ball that much, that's not really going to seek to be the guy that much? Excellent, teammate. Everybody always says that he's an excellent teammate to have around. So I think I would be pretty surprised if he could get Connect and a first-round pick. If the Heat were able to get Connect, Rui, and they didn't get, maybe they get second round. I don't even know what the Lakers' second-round arsenal is, to be fair. But if they were just able to get Connect would be an interesting player for the Heat to have. Obviously, they just lost Duncan Robinson. We've talked about the Heat not having the shooting. We talk about the Heat being into this youth movement. I would still be pretty impressed if the Heat were able to still pry him away. And I'm not even like, last year I probably disparaged Connect a little bit just because I was sticking up for Khalil Ware, because there was a point where people were like, could you believe the Heat passed on Dalton Connect? So no hard feelings, Dalton. But it does seem like, all right, we talk about all the guys that the Heat have, and Yakachonis and Jaime, and I wonder too, if they brought in Connect, could there be would the Heat trade Jaime? Like a Wiggins and Jaime. Jaime goes back out to LA just to kind of sweet. I mean, I figure out the contracts. There's also mechanisms that say hey, Gabe Vincent would be in it too. Could there be something like that? Like, would the Heat be down for, we'll trade Wiggins and Jaime, we'll get back Rui's expiring, Gabe's expiring, Dalton Connect, and the first. And then it feels like, well, the Lakers are still getting a young asset. He's a bit of a hometown hero. He gets to play with LeBron. Like, is that something that could appease parties a little bit more? And then, you got, Jaime there, who maybe will be able to do some more things as a sixth man, because they're going to lose a little bit of that with Gabe Vincent if he's gone. So that would be, I would wonder if that'd be that. I'd love it if the Heat could be able to do it without giving up Jaime, and maybe it's a case where they have to give up Haywood instead. Haywood probably would be a good playoff player. If the Lakers could get Haywood, Highsmith, and Wiggins, those are two guys on the wing. You could play them in the playoffs. You could throw bodies at them. You could throw. They're both experienced. They've both been on finals teams. yeah, they're not the sexiest names in the world, but it would be interesting because the Lakers do feel in a little bit of a crossroads of like, hey, well, we do need to win. Like, who knows how many years? If they're keeping LeBron, how many years left does LeBron have? You do want to be in a position where you go into it. But I say all this to get back to Barry's column when the Heat were like, hey, we're not. It felt like, oh, they're not aggressively trying to kick Wiggins out the door. Like, yeah, I don't think that they are. I don't think that they're going to be like, oh, we gotta get off Andrew Wiggins. But if the rest of what their feelings is true, that they're trying to lean young, even if you don't necessarily have an obvious replacement for him from as far as a two-way standpoint, you could go into the starting lineup and you could play. You could play Jaime. If you keep Jaime, you can play Jaime. If you keep Haywood, you can play Haywood. You could also go three. One of the intriguing lineups I would like to see them try would be three bigs, because you would go Bam, Khalil, Nico, Tyler, Davion. It just makes you a little bit weird. It's a little looky of Orlando with what they do and how they start their games. I think that would be the Heat would kind of be similar in that regard. But I think the Heat should be looking to deal Andrew Wiggins, and especially if they can get either a decent young player or a first round pick. If they're able to get both, man, I think you could actually put a spin on Pat. I would say, like, all right, that's a win. Like Pat Riley in the front office, and Andy and Adam and the whole crew, they're all looking for a win. Like that would, I think you could look at that and you could say, yeah, that's a win. If you're able to add another asset to him and you could start adding to, your war chest. Because like, look, if it does become a place where, oh man, Giannis does become available. All right, well now you got even more young guys to deal with. Like, I don't think in this case the Heat are looking at Andrew Wiggins. I don't think anybody looks at that as like a sexy piece to add right now. I think it's a solid piece. I don't think it's a sexy piece for a team that's, rephrase that. I don't think any team that's going to have to trade a star is going to look at Andrew Wiggins and be like, oh man, that's awesome. I think the Heat did last year because there was a semblance of the Heat were getting nothing from Jimmy from really trying, and they were hoping that adding Andrew would be a bit of a spark, and it wasn't. Yes, he was injured, but I think that there was a little bit of an issue there. If you were in the position of flipping him for expirings, one, either your books are going to clean up in the summer, or once you get to those talks of like whoever it is, make it Giannis, make it Ja, whoever, then you can flip it to another team and be like, well, now you got expirings, your books are clean, you got a fresh start, you got some more picks, you want some Dalton Connect on it. So I just think it would make sense if the Heat are able to do that. And look, LA can't be like too hot and heavy on Dalton Connect. You guys tried to flip him last year, and you are in a spot right now where there is a hole that Andrew Wiggins could provide that. So I do think that the Heat are in a pretty decent spot, because I don't think the Heat are in a spot, oh man, we got to get off Andrew Wiggins. So I do think the Heat can be a little tougher in these negotiations. This is not one of those where I don't think it's wrong for them just to kick him out the door and get him out. I would try and squeeze the Lakers. Will they get all of those assets? Probably not, but I think they could probably get one of them. And I think that would be pretty rock solid for Miami if they were able to pull that off.